Okay, what do you want to tell me?
Nothing, but on the
Oh,
way.
nothing is the best thing.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah,
On the way here,
you read Schwanzer, yeah. I saw that.
What do you mean?
That nothingness is the best thing.
Okay.
There is nothing as nothingness.
Okay.
Okay, now.
I'll have to think about it. I mean, on the way here, I told you I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, because
and you
you're
told me it's
spontaneous.
like this goddess. Which one?
Oh yes, Cassandra. It's not a goddess. She was just one of the daughters of the king of Troy in ancient Greek mythology. And she was able to know the future and to tell people what will happen. But nobody ever believed her because she had a curse. It was Apollo, the god Apollo, has a crush on her, but she takes the gift of seeing the future, but after that she refused to give him what he wanted, really. So Apollo said, I'll let you with the gift because I cannot take it back, but nobody will ever believe you. And it was exactly that. She was able to say, don't do that, it will be the end of you, don't do that, it will be this catastrophic end. And nobody believed it or listened to it. And it was always exactly what happened. Okay.
So it's better.
Better not to know.
Better not to know.
Yes. Sometimes it's a blessing not to know. So sometimes also a blessing to be able to forget a little bit.
Really?
There is people, if they do not forget at least a little bit, it's too heavy for them to carry the burden of all kind of memories sometimes. You cannot. Yeah. Depends. Some patients, so that better for them that they don't recall everything exactly. If they cannot assume it, they cannot do something with it. Yeah, it's. There is always two different things. I always say that anyway. There is heaven and earth. What is this to say that the human being is between heaven and earth? Is to say that we are always and at the same time in a double approach, which is not a contradiction, which is not an exclusion, but which is not the same. For instance, we have to know a lot of things to be able to be efficient on earth. You have to know how, for instance, to make working this camera, yes, or this way, so we will not name the brands, of course. So and so on, how it is, and we have to know a lot of things. And in the same time, there is a lot also things that we don't have to know, and we have to know that we cannot know them because it is different. What comes from heaven is our inner transformation, is our inner disposition, but it is not a knowledge. It is how we live the life which is given in us in this specific way, which is me for a while. You know, for example, we see that with patients, or those patients are stuck. They are stuck in a lot of problems, and there is always a double way to approach that. They have to solve their problem at the earthly level. So, if I have a problem with my taxes, I have to solve it with administration or with my accountant or with myself if I cheat a little bit or forget something, yes, and so on. But, if I am stuck in grief, I have also to work on something and to do things and to go out to see friends or whatever, to do things at the level of the earth. But there is something which comes from the level of heaven and which is that is from inside that something is untied. So, like that, it comes quite naturally and spontaneously. So, which is, for instance, in the Taoist text that they say that if you want to untie a problem, untie the node in which you are, so it has to come from heaven. It is easy and spontaneous, and you say, okay, what a joke, I know that it is not true, but it is absolutely true, but it doesn't prevent to do all the earthly working, Sure.
Let's put it that way, but this sounds to me exactly
how when you work with the patient, and as a therapist, as a practitioner, we always also need to be in this double level. We need to know a lot of things to make a diagnosis, to choose the points, to apply the right technique. And at the same time, when you are doing the very gesture of slack, putting the needle, and you do what you do, and you have to have forgotten everything, and not to let everything to interfere in this kind of passage between you and the patient. You have, because the I, who is the one able to know, has to retreat, to be silent, and to let the I, who is the life of heaven in me, do things. And of course, it's a practice. It is what we try to learn day after day, and we have to be. And it's long, and it's difficult, and at the same time, when it comes, things are just so obvious and easy.
So we don't need to know the future. We just need
to know the future, and what? If you know the future, you will try to prevent the bad things. And what we will do, perhaps something worse. You don't know. Because you will need a kind of absolute absolute knowledge in order to be sure that if you choose not to do that, because it will be that catastrophe, but to do something else different, it will not be catastrophic, or it is impossible to have this knowledge. So you let you to be guided by this life in you that you work on every day, of course, but which is, it is in the silence and the nothingness that it comes from the right direction, of course, more and more, because it's more than a lifelong of practice and try, but it is like that. It is the same thing for what we call prevention of disease, you know? What do you prevent? If you want to prevent that disease, and this one, so when you take this herb, or you do this treatment for this and for that, it's the same thing, it's endless. To prevent all kind of things that may happen to you. Of course, if you are in a family with a kind of specific fragility or vulnerability, or if you have a history of this or that, there is nothing wrong, as it is a kind of diagnosis, and so you do things precisely, but otherwise, you have to be ready to whatever will happen. So we just same thing, to consolidate, to comfort, to adjust the way you attune yourself to the life in you. You adhere in the movement of life. So, and that you will react, your body, your blood and your chi will react at the right way, or the best possible way, as in the martial art, you know.
So I have another question for you. I just want to make sure.
It was a question?
No, nothing was a question actually, but you gave an answer. I
Is that
think,
an answer?
well, I think that the beauty is, you taught me one thing, which changed the way I see Chinese medicine, okay? Which is to look at everything from the heavenly perspective, or from the earthly perspective, or sometimes from the human perspective.
The human is a result of both together.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this changes totally everything we're looking at. So even at the patient, we can look from a heavenly perspective, we can look from an earthly perspective, or we can understand how it's mixed in the man.
Absolutely.
And I know tomorrow you're going to teach here about the Wu Shen.
Yeah.
And how do you relate the Wu Shen to this heavenly perspective?
Sure, because Wu, it goes by Wu, by 5. So if it goes by 5, it's made for being able to apply the theory of the yin-yang and the 5 element or agent or phases. I love to speak and to call them the 5 movers, just by little fantasy. So, and movers.
They are moving.
They are moving. They are putting the move. They are putting in movement. They are sustaining and guiding the move. So, it's a fantasy. It comes from Vallée, a great Chinese philosopher of the 20th century. So, and sure, it is. If it is by 5, it is to allow us to make a clinical analysis of what is myself. I cannot say myself. How can I analyze myself? who I am somewhere. So, but what is making who I am right now, and there is several things. There is an encountering of heaven and earth, of whole and poor souls, the chi of heaven and the chi of earth in a human being, and so as
manifested
said,
in the five.
As we can see that in the Lin Shu chapter 8, that allows these unite features of the human heart, so that the human being is born with an heart, allowing him or them to know, to have a knowledge, to be a consciousness, and to guide, to be responsible for the conduct of life. And by which tools is that? It is called, what is translated, I will and intend. Of course, there is no possible good translation, because it is a really specific Chinese concept of that time, of the second centuries. Yeah, but after that it is for good reason linked to the kidneys or the water or to the spleen and the earth. But why? Because basically it was part of the Chinese philosophy, of the Chinese thinking, yeah, of the way to analyze what makes myself, because it's not exactly what I think, it's why I'm thinking that this way. Nothing, no perception, no knowledge, no memory is coming on a virgin area, virgin ground. You know, there is already something there, and this is this kind of intent. So, and what it is, and it is given that it is what I received to make up who I am in my youngs, and after that I am more and more responsible for choosing what I expose myself to know, to read, to be with, in relationships and so on and so on. And all that is making making the matrix to give form to all thinking, all the working of the mind and so on. So now when we have these five together, they are united by the Shen, by the heart. They together merge in a kind of undistinctiveness, in unity, which is I acting, doing, and my inner realization is myself as my spirit, as my vital spirit. I am a vital spirit. So, and a unique one, because it is what was given to me and what I do with. So, and this five is a way to analyze that. How I do with what comes from heaven, comes from earth, how I do with the working of my mind and so on, how I am able to accept all of that in the light of the life in me. It comes from heaven, but it comes from the innermost of the innermost, in the same time. And to have enough confidence in this life to be able to put it first.
The Wu Shen first.
The Shen, heaven, or Tao, whatever is the name, there is no name. What is first, absolute, cannot have one name. But you know that. I think that I write something down.
Perfect, Elisabeth. Just to kind of wind this talk, you told me you're soon, I can say the age?
Yeah.
75, so what changed in the last years?
Nothing.
All good.
Just or perhaps one or two joints are a little bit painful. Yeah.
Just the joints.
So far, mainly the joints.
And in your inner life?
I hope it's more real.
More real. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yair.
For meeting, another beautiful meeting in this beautiful day here in Rothenburg.
And thank you for your presence and your friendship.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, my dear. Thank you so much.